Hi, it's Rachel with Stirring the Deep. So I just did a video explaining the battle we all face between lies and truth. And that lays the foundation for what I want to share with you now. And that is at Christ's return, when God's Spirit, in its power, which is truth and righteousness and love, starts filling this earth and returning to this earth, which he's doing that, he's coming through his people, through the temple that has been prepared, which is those people that have sought him in truth and spirit. He's going to be filling them. And for those, they're going to start entering into his kingdom, the kingdom of heaven here on earth. That's going to start establishing that, because the kingdom's within us, but when it starts really giving life to all our surroundings, which is ultimately rest, then it's getting established here in the earth. Now, until this time, we've had the hope. And in the Bible, Paul talks a lot about the hope that we have, the hope of the resurrection, the hope of the kingdom to come, the hope of that promised land. But it is that Spirit of God that's returning to this earth, and that is starting now, because you see the signs, and you see the signs of those who are part of the temple. They're seeing it in their light, in their life, and that is why the Christ does not come as a thief to those who are of him, who are of the day, because they're going to start budding in their lives. Their lives are going to start blooming of God's kingdom in ways that has not happened before. On the other side, when God's Spirit comes, he is going to be destroying Babylon, which is a kingdom of darkness, which is ultimately the lies. Because the lies are what is where it all starts. That gives life to sin, and sin gives life, or not life, but it creates death. Okay, so you see what's happening. So when God's come, and that's why he's patient in coming and long suffering, it says, because when he comes, he's a consuming fire. That's why in Revelation it talks so much about fire, because he is literally going to be burning away the lies with his truth. But if you have built your house on those lies, but you think it's truth, right? But it's the ways of the world, the philosophies of the world, religion, how they've put God in a box, literally, as in the churches. They have created, this is who God is. And when you haven't learned from God himself who he is, you're holding false images, which are lies. And this is what you have built your belief systems on. And that's what you're creating, manifesting in your life. Well, God is going to destroy all that, because that's what light does to the darkness. That's what truth does to lies. Truth reveals the lies, and it destroys them, and it replaces them with the truth. So this is the dynamic that's going to be happening when God returns, which you read about in Revelation, where it's describing that spiritually what's happening. But yes, we're going to see it happening in this world. So you can imagine, if you're depending on your own ability to provide, your own ability to, or doctors to heal you. You really think about where your trust is. In the government to provide for you, then if that's where your trust is, it's in the wrong place, because it's in lies. It's in the confidence is in the flesh, in mankind, instead of God, where it should be. So all of that is going to be taken away. But as it's taken away, can you imagine that what you really believe, and this is, you've always worked really hard in your life, for example. So you're going to start working harder as you see stuff happening, and you're trying to fix those problems. You're trying to remedy with the philosophies of the world, and it's not working, because they're being destroyed. They're not going to work anymore. So it's going to be a very difficult period for people. So now, before that unrest gets so strong to where your soul is so depleted that you have no strength to fight, or no strength to seek. I mean, if you've ever been really depressed, you know what I'm talking about. You have just apathy for life. There's no motivation. It's very difficult. And that's, in a sense, like the door being shut, as you read in the parable with the 10 virgins, which I want to do another video on that, diving into that separately. But when you get into that state, it's very hard to do much of anything. So now is the time to seek God. Now is the time to start building your house on the truth, because as God returns in that kingdom, the people that are living in truth by God's ways, and ultimately that is completely surrendering over your self-will and letting God fill you and govern you so that your desires become his desires. And when you're in that place of God fully governing you, you are in complete rest. And that's what the Holy Sabbath is that you're in that complete rest. And when you're resting, you're not worried or stressed or fearful or anxious, and you're trusting God. That's how you can rest, because you trust him, because you know him. So you see this progression. You know God, you trust him, you walk in his ways, you obey him, you experience that rest, and that allows his power to be manifested. The resting and being in that spirit, trusting God, no matter what your situation is, you're like, you know your God's going to work through it, and you know he's going to lead you. And you cultivate that relationship so you know how to hear him and to walk in his counsel and just be moved by him. It's a tremendous thing that he's giving. And so that those people, that kingdom is going to be growing as those people that have been prepared, who have been seeking God and knowing him. He's that rest and that power, because the Spirit's coming in power and truth, is going to start really budding fruit in their lives. Because so you're going to see these two divisions, and you see this throughout the Bible. And when you're in this kingdom in Zion, the kingdom of heaven coming to earth, it's like you have a wall of fire that protects you. You're protected from all that's on the outside that's causing turmoil and tribulation. You see God working in amazing ways that is keeping you at peace in your life. And so that peace is ruling in your hearts. That's what rest is. So this is what they're going to be experiencing. So again, this is what's happening in the end, is the lies are being destroyed, but you can see how if you're holding on to them, how difficult that's going to be. So now is the time to get into the truth and to seek God from God, to know him, because he's the one that can dig into your soul and start peeling back the lies that you believe and replacing them with truth. He's the one that recreates us. He's the creator, and he makes us into new creation by renewing our mind, changing our core beliefs, which changes our life. And you know you're walking in truth because you see the fruit of that. So this is why it's so important to be in the Word, because that's the gateway by which God, his Holy Spirit, starts speaking to us and teaching us about who he really is. Till next time, keep stirring the deep. It's the one thing that changes everything else.